found the right bar. Nobody plans to end up here. You drift in when the job hunt's worked you raw. Rejections, silence, postings that look urgent but go nowhere. I'm Sarah Trumbull, bartender for the broken job market, your dive bar economist. Pull up a stool and I'll pour you something honest. This bar is a cover. Behind the bottles, I run the job applicant perspective. First person reviews of hiring. Think Yelp in a world of professionally mandated fine dining with no health department and no FDA. And no real requirement that anything on the menu has to exist. The trust layer of the labor market forgot to build. We'll get there, but first pull up a stool, take a load off, and let me tell you a tale of loneliness that might make you feel a little less alone. And before I keep going, I need to warn you, I'm not a trained sociologist. No robes, no lectures. I'm an observant person, a systems thinker. I see patterns in how people connect and I try to translate them. So take what I'm about to say not as gospel, but as invitation. Here's the lens. Much of what we call community in our modern age isn't really community. It's survival-based solidarity. Real community is about who you are, and it doesn't change with your circumstances because you belong, whatever your circumstances. Survival groups are a bit different. First one I see is shared superiority. Think of the popular kids in high school or the exclusive country club that won't just let anybody in, or the team bonding by mocking the intern. You belong, but only because of your place in the hierarchy. Lose the rank, lose a seat at the table. The second is shared struggle. This is solidarity forged in fire. The civil rights marches, disability activism, feminist organizing, or smaller scale, the group of friends who joke about being perpetually single, bound by the ache of it. These bonds matter, but they're contingent on pain. Circumstances change, maybe you move up in the ranks or whatever, the closest shifts. Then I see shared deference. This is the quiet camaraderie of the powerless, the nerds who stick together after school to comfort each other, but never challenge the bully. Coworkers whispering about the boss in the break room. You belong as long as you stay small together. These aren't illusions that kept people alive, but they are fragile. They're tied to wherever you are on the triangle, not who you are. And when your place shifts up, down, or out, the bond evaporates. That's how you know it was survival, not community. Here's the thing nobody says out loud. When you lose a job, you don't just lose a paycheck. You lose the shallow layer of community that once held you up. The acquaintances, the passing nods, the people who at least knew you were there. And now, with hiring moving online, even that fragile layer has warped into something dark. First comes the performance. Professional social media is all built on toxic positivity, and the longer your purgatory lasts, the more extreme and performative your toxic positivity can become. You feel like you're supposed to cheerfully congratulate the very companies that ghosted you. You post polished reflections on lessons learned from rejection. Prove you're still a team player in the job search Hunger Games. But if you don't, the fear is real. You'll be marked. Silence lasts longer when you break character. But here's the catch. When your real life conversations don't mirror the LinkedIn mask, people don't see it as you finally getting a chance to connect and tell them the truth. They see it as disconnect. Wait, you seem fine online. Why? What's going on now? What could have been a chance for honesty, for connection, turns into suspicion. Instead of solidarity, you get side-eye. And that's the cruel shit. Purgatory lasts longer than it ever did, but nobody has a shared map of why. The system is failing, but the failure gets pinned on you. To your old coworkers, your extended struggle looks less like the incompetence of the market and more like the incompetence in you. And then comes the fractured social layer. You try to meet new people, and the first question is always, so what do? You reach out to old friends, they might still get communal empathy for Jan in accounting, but when you bring up ghosting number 45, the room gets quiet. The air changes. They shift the subject to your resume as if that explains it all. It's not malice. It's distance from a reality that they don't know how to face. It was never easy back then, but as the misery and distance from what economists say is happening and people on the ground feel and experience widens, so does the social isolation deepen. It's partly because they see the depth of the pain, because they see the lack of community support that timid people don't want to validate openly lest it happen to them. This is why job seeking feels like an emotional horror these days. It's not just failure, it's failure in isolation. No witnesses, no camaraderie, no repair, just shame recycled on a loop. I knew a contractor once who got his dream job to interview at Amazon. Took a day off work for the first interview, another day off for the second. 6 interviews, 6 days off of work, and then he was cut from the process without explanation. He missed his cousin's wedding that year for a job that he lost without knowing why. Imagine how the same process affects people out of work. Even family events that could be communal, they get disconnected from. Now stretch that out for years. That's the modern labor market. Obedient isolation for years on end with no shared societal understanding of why. So what do? We rebuild. We rebuild the missing layer. This bar isn't just a metaphor, it's the shape of what we need again. A place to witness each other, to say out loud, the system is broken, but we are not. Mutual recognition matters. Voice matters. Agency matters. We deserve more than dehumanized, isolated silence. That's why I'm building the job advocate perspective. Witness of your reality. Voices that share your experiences. It's agency instead of submission. Signs left for the next traveler. This road is blocked. That turn is safe. Real food ahead. Because the truth is, nobody should have to walk the storm alone. The internet turned job hunting into a snowstorm, really. Whiteout conditions. You can't see more than a few feet ahead. The wind cuts, the ice stings. Alone, you start believing that maybe you'll never make it through. Maybe you pull into a rest stop, chilly, desperate, just needing a bathroom and a coffee. And unexpectedly, you find a group of travelers sitting there with cups of coffee from the vending machine too, bundled up too, sharing notes about how this road is slippery and watch out for the traffic there. It's not just the coffee that'll warm you up from that rest stop vending machine. It's the humanity, the camaraderie. You aren't driving alone anymore. So finish your drink, pull your coat on. You're not broken. The market is. And out there in the storm, always be kind to drivers on the road.